Hi, I'm Sarah Clare with the Rediscovery Centre, and today I'm going to be doing a workshop for Fingal Libraries for National Science Week. And today the theme is all about space. So we're going to be showing you lots of different experiments and really cool things that you can do in your classroom to explore the theme of space. So space is so exciting. There's some amazing things you could do about space as well. So when you're talking about galaxies, what is a galaxy? Well, a galaxy is a collection of billions and billions of stars that all stay together under gravity. Now we see, when we look up at the night sky, we can see lots and lots of stars, but we can actually see some galaxies from Earth as well. They're just really hard to distinguish what's a galaxy and what's a star as well. But if you have a telescope and you're looking up at the night sky, you might see a blurry image that's actually a galaxy. So when humans have been studying the stars, and we've been studying the stars for thousands and thousands of years, oftentimes when we look up at the night sky, we want to make sense of it. We want to see what exactly is out there. So what humans have done is we've created patterns or constellations from the stars. That's when we look up at the night sky and we see a pattern of stars and we say that it forms a picture. So these are some of the constellations as well. So some of them you might have heard of, some of them you're going to be less familiar with. So one that we can all probably recognize is Ursa Major, or the Big Dipper. And it looks a little bit like a saucepan or a pot up in the sky as well. So you can see something like that. Another one then is Canis Major, or the dog. So there's lots and lots of constellations. Maybe with your teacher you can look into some of the different constellations up in the night sky. And after you've done that, here's a really cool experiment you can do. So what you're going to need for this one is a cup or a toilet roll or kitchen roll. You're going to need a pencil. You're going to need a ruler, like this one, and you're going to need a torch as well. So what you can do with this one is you're going to make your own constellation of stars, and you can create a light show or star show in your own classroom as well. So if you're using a paper cup, the way that you do it is you draw a pattern on the bottom of the paper cup, just like one of these constellations here. So you can pick a real constellation as well. That's really fun to do and teach you a little bit more about the night sky. So you're going to draw your picture as well, like one of the constellations, and then you're going to pierce holes into the bottom of your cup as well. So piercing the holes makes the stars. If you're using a kitchen roll, what you can do then is get a piece of paper and you can draw a circle around your kitchen roll here. That's good, and you're going to create your constellation within that as well. So here's a few that I've done up here. So you can actually create loads of different constellations and give them all names as well. Then you're going to take a sharp pencil and you're going to pierce through the constellation that you've drawn to create the stars. So when you've got that done, so take your time doing it, do it very, very gently. You just want little holes in that as well. And you can use your ruler as well to create really straight lines. You can measure it all out as well. Make sure that the diameter is the same as the bottom of your roll. When you've got that done, you've got a few different constellations done as well, either using your cup or using the paper and the kitchen roll. Then comes a really exciting part. So you're going to take your torch, you're going to turn it on, turn off all the lights in the room as well so you have it nice and dark. Then you're going to turn on your torch and you're going to shine it through the cup up onto the ceiling, and you'll be able to see the pattern of stars that you've created up on the ceiling or on a wall as well. If you're using your kitchen roll or your toilet roll, then you just put it behind the constellation here and shine it through, and you'll be able to do exactly the same. And with the piece of paper and the kitchen roll, you'll actually be able to do quite a few different constellations, and you can create a light show up in the ceiling. It's really fun, it's absolutely amazing to do, and it can be really good to teach yourself and other people as well, maybe in your school or even at home as well, a little bit about the night sky and recognizing some of the constellations that are out there. Super. That's one of the first activities then, is paper cup or paper constellations. A really, really fun activity as well when you're doing that. That's just a little bit about constellations up in the night sky. But another thing to do with space that people get really excited about is the planets. Now, the closest planet to the sun, what do you guys think that one is? Mercury, you're absolutely right. So if you go onto the European Space Agency website, you can get some real pictures taken of the planet Mercury. Now, the planet Mercury is a rocky planet. So it's made mainly of rock with some metals and other minerals and other materials as well. But when we look at the planet Mercury, it looks a little bit like our moon. So it's kind of a grey colour, and it also is covered in all these holes. What do you think those holes might have been caused by? You're absolutely right, they were caused by meteorites, which are lumps of rock and ice that have crashed, landed on the planet as well, creating all these holes or craters. You can also get some really close-up images as well of the planet Mercury to see what these craters actually look like. Now, because Mercury is so close to the sun, it doesn't have an atmosphere all around it. It doesn't have a layer of protective gases that are keeping it safe. So when meteorites are coming in towards the planet, there's nothing to slow them down, and they crash quite hard into the planet as well. And there's a very cool experiment you could do with this one. So what you're going to need for this experiment is a tray of sand per group. And what I like to do as well is this is going to simulate the surface of the planet Mercury. And what you can do is on top of the layer of sand, you can actually put some darker material. So here I've got some iron filings as well, and I'm going to scatter them on top of the surface here. So it looks like dark rock over lighter rock. So I've got it all sprinkled around here, all over it. Now, and I'm going to tilt this at a bit of an angle so you guys can see it as well. Can you guys see that okay? Super, okay. So what we're going to do here is, I've got some marbles, so you can use some marbles, or you can roll up plasticine into little balls as well. So you're going to create different size meteors, and you can test out, so using science, you can test out to see what size crater your meteor is going to make, depending on what height you drop it from. So do you think that the faster meteor is going, the bigger the impact, or the smaller the impact crater? What do you guys reckon? Well, you can do your prediction and predict what size it's going to be. So I'm going to start here with a marble, and I'm going to measure it first. So this marble is 1 centimeter wide, and I'm going to drop it from a height of 15 centimeters onto the surface of the planet. There we go. So we can see not only is there a crater in the middle, but there's also ejecta. So some of the lighter rock came spraying out as well. So the size of that crater is 5 centimeters. Now what you can do is you can try meteors of different sizes from different heights and do your predictions. See what size crater you think it's going to leave on the surface of your planet. So if you've got a really big meteor like this one, you drop it from quite a height, do you think it's going to create a big crater or not? Let's have a look and see. So it creates an absolutely huge crater, and also with lots and lots of ejecta, or the lighter rock coming out and spraying all over it as well. So you can use a huge amount of different sizes of your meteor craters as well. Everyone can do different experiments, and remember to write down your results, and you're going to be able to report those back to other people as well. So that could be a really, really fun experiment to do. If you don't have sand and iron filings, you could use, but this one gets really messy, you could use flour with a layer of cocoa powder on top. Might be better to do this experiment outside because it does get quite messy, but it is a lot of fun as well. That's just a little bit about meteor craters and how they're formed on the planet Mercury. So I'll put those to one side again. Now, so another planet is the planet Mars, and it is the 4th planet from the sun, and it's often called the red planet. Do you know why it's called the red planet? Because it looks a red colour. And the reason it's a red colour is because there's a lot of iron in the rocks, and that iron is basically rusted. And what colour is rust? Kind of reddy colour, absolutely. So that's why Mars is actually that red colour, because it's basically rusted a little bit. Now, humans have sent lots of robots to the surface of Mars to explore it more, to find out more about it, what the rocks are made of, all the different materials that are there, and also, was there ever liquid water at the surface, and could there ever have been living things on Mars? Another reason that scientists are sending rovers to Mars is that they're trying to find out, could humans ever settle and live on the surface of Mars as well? So there's some really good pictures that you guys can see actually taken by the rovers or the robots on Mars. So a really good challenge for your classroom is to work together as a group and see if you can come up with a design of a Mars rover. So what kind of things would your Mars rover need to do? Does it need to be able to move? Does it need a camera? Does it need different scientific equipment? So you can draw a design out for your Mars rover, and then if you collect some waste materials from home and get some from your classroom, you can create your very own Mars rover. And here's a couple we made before. So this is one of the designs here, and at the Rediscovery Centre we always really like to save things from being thrown away, so save waste and actually reuse. So we've made this entire thing out of waste materials. So this Mars rover here has solar panels, which are going to give the rover the energy to move. We've also got milk bottle tops for wheels, and this here is a satellite dish so that the rover can communicate with Earth. So that's what we thought was really important with this rover. Here's another rover that we made here as well. This is made using a tea box. Now it does have wheels, but on our rover here, the wheels can actually turn to make it a hovercraft. We also wanted to have big windows as well, so that we could see out onto the surface of Mars. And this bit here is another camera. So you can come up with your own designs, and then you can do a test to see does your Mars rover do what you think it's going to do. If you want your Mars rover to move, is yours able to move? Could you bring it outside and test it out on a track of your own creation? So using maybe sand or using places with lots of rocks. You can test out all the different rovers in the classroom to see which one does the best. So that can be a really, really good activity as well. But when we're talking about space, if we're talking about space exploration and people going to space, we need to be able to get there. And how are we going to be able to get there? Using a rocket. Now there's some excellent videos you can find online through this European Space Agency, and also through the NASA website as well, showing lots of different rocket launches as well. So a rocket is basically a vehicle that allows people or materials to be able to be transported up into space. And now you guys can build your very own rockets. For this one, you can use pipe insulation. So this is the stuff that you get in hardware shops to go around your pipes to keep them from freezing in winter time. Or you could use a kitchen roll or a couple of toilet rolls taped together as well. So what you're going to need to do for this one is you're going to need to get a big elastic band, so something nice and thick, or you can try out different sizes of elastic bands as well. And you're going to put one with some sellotape through the center as well, making sure that the elastic band isn't going to come off mid-flight. So this elastic band is going to give your rocket the energy to be able to move. So make sure it's on nice and tight. And if you're doing it like this, it's quite easy to do over the pipe insulation, or you can do the same here as well, exactly the same with your kitchen roll. And what is another thing that a rocket needs to be able to fly? It needs fins, so it needs to be able to go in a straight line. So if I threw this rocket, it would kind of go all over the place. It wouldn't be able to move very well. So it's going to need to have fins to help it fly straight. Now, a really good way to make them is to get a piece of light cardboard, so something like a cereal box or something like that, and you're going to draw out two triangles, and then you're going to cut them in half so you've got nice big triangles for your fins. Now, one way to attach them to your rocket is if you cut slits into the bottom of your rocket, then fold this one in half, and putting the pointy end, you can slide it in into two of the slits like that. Another way to do it would be to attach the fins onto the side of your rocket, so whatever design you guys want to do. But what you don't want is when your rocket is flying, you don't want the fins to come off, so you need to sellotape these fins in place to make sure they're not going to come off. So I've got a little bit of recyclable tape here that I'm just going to put on the bottom of the rocket, making sure that those fins are going to stay very well in place. So when you've got your rocket made, then I'm going to teach you about how to fly it. But to make this a more scientific experiment, because this is Science Week, what you can do is each person or each group can make rockets that are slightly different. So when it comes to your rockets, if you're testing out two, you want to keep everything the same to make it a fair test and just change one thing. So one thing you could test is the size of the rocket. So you could have two rockets with the same amount of tape, with the same amount of fins, done in the same way, but you could have one longer and one shorter one. And then you could test them both out to see which one is going to fly the furthest. Another thing you could change is changing the number of fins, or changing where the fins are as well. So you can do loads and loads of science experiments as well. So everyone in the class or groups in the class can make different rockets and you can test them all out. Now, just to show you the best way to test out your rockets, I'm going to show you how to make them fly. So you can get something like a meteor stick as well. So a meteor stick does work really well for the science experiment because you can tell how far back you're pulling your rocket before you set it to launch, and you can change the angle of it as well. So when you're teaching, when you're about to make your rocket fly, this is how to do it. So you put the elastic band up the top of your meteor stick. Now, if you were to hold your rocket here, as you let it fly, the fins are going to hit off your hand, so it wouldn't work very well and it would slow the rocket down. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing your rocket from the bottom, and then you want to pull back as far as you can to let your rocket fly. Now you can pull it back different distances to see if your rocket's going to go further, depending on how much energy or how far back you're pulling your rocket. What you don't want to do is hold your rocket out here, because then it's going to hit off the meteor stick and it's not going to make it a fair test. So that's a really good way of being able to test out how good your rocket is. So everyone pulls it back the same distance, everyone has it at the same angle. If you don't have enough meteor sticks in your classroom, you can use your thumb to be able to pull them back. And again, you can measure exactly how far back you're holding your rocket from your thumb. This takes a little bit of practice as well, but I'm just going to show you guys. You pull your rocket back, make sure your hand's out of the way so you're holding it like a thumbs up, and then let it fly. So you can do some amazing science experiments as well in your classroom, like using these rockets. So it's a really, really nice science experiment for Science Week. So I hope you guys have had fun today. There's lots and lots of experiments and things that you guys can do for Science Week using the theme of space. And go and explore, find out more about the planets, about our solar system, about the galaxies, about our universe in general. So I hope you guys have had fun today. And I know Fingal Libraries would love to see pictures or even videos of some of the amazing things, science experiments that you guys have done on the theme of space. So if you'd like to send your photos and videos into Fingal Libraries social media, they'd love to see them, and so would I. Thank you all very much and have fun.